Hello friends, and welcome to the Jazz Ranch at Christmas time. The Christmas tree is here, and I have a quote for you from the great novel A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Ebenezer Scrooge, my great hero, I love him. Bah humbug! He said this to his nephew Fred. He said, "What's Christmas time to you but a time of paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer, a time for balancing your books and having every item of them in around a dozen of months presented dead against you. If I could, in my will, every idiot that goes about Merry Christmas and his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly in his heart. What good has it done you?" Well, Fred comes back with a good line. He says, "There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say, Christmas among the rest, but I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem to, by one consent, to open their shut-up hearts freely, to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good, and I say God bless it." Hello friends, season's greetings, and welcome to the Jazz Ranch. And actually, I'm shocked. The Alter Dominant Ego Man was actually giving you some quotes and taking a positive attitude, and he wasn't goofing on me. I'm shocked. But anyway, that's a great quote, and I love that quote from the Charles Dickens novel, A Christmas Carol. And I have a special program for you this evening about the song by the Beatles, actually, called When I'm 64. John Lennon and Paul McCartney wrote this great song. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to talk about some techniques. And here we go now with When I'm 64. I want to talk about creating your own personal arrangement of a song. And this song from the Beatles, When I'm 64, is a good one to try out in terms of the styles of playing and specifically the stride style, which I've used here. Now, you need an introduction, you need a body of the song, and then you need an ending. So basically, I've just played the body of the song with an intro and an ending, and the body of the song is like 16 bars for an A section, and then 16 bars for a B section, or a bridge, and then another 16 bars for the A section. You try to vary it on the last 16 slightly, so it doesn't sound just like a carbon copy of the first 16. So anyway, you try to do this to the level of whatever your ability is. If you're a beginner, you write a simple arrangement, but you want to start with just the basic melody and chords. And the first thing I did was create a introduction. Now, an introduction just sort of sets it up, and you're in the key of C here now. So I just did C diminished to C and C diminished to C, and then 6 to 5. In other words, I'm creating a cadence to the 5 chord, or a progression to the 5 chord that is going to set up the 1 chord at the beginning of the melody. So what I did this, I did a C diminished to a C, and then repeating that, and then a 6th chord in A minor to a D7 to a G. Now you put a melody to that, so I did this. Up the up, repeating it, and then this. So I have a repeating line and then a complementary line. And then now these things in the left hand, I'm going to show you how to play stride and then connecting lines. You can either play them as one note or octaves. But the stride thing is this. It's basically root, chord, 5th, chord, root. So now you go, I'm going down, create variety. Rather than just going like this and back to the same note, I'm going to go down there. So now you see the chord, I'm just playing it, the chord, the C chord, basic C chord, root, 3rd, 5th, octave. Then I do the same thing, because it's all C on the first, this is all C chord, or, and now I need to break it up, because I'm not just going to keep doing this, it's too boring. So now I create a line. Now that's a C chord, I'm going right down the C scale, then I'm creating an approach chord to a G, which is the next chord. Now the next thing, I had to practice this. In other words, it's a little line that they wrote in the melody, but I didn't want to just play it like that. I wanted to double it in the left hand, so I doubled it in harmony. You see, so now I'm having a variety of things. This. Then when I went to there, I took the inversion up 1 step. Then I went down the scale in octaves to here, G7. Then I'm doubling that little melody, you see. So that's the beginning. So that's the first thing you want to understand about creating a good arrangement, is you want variety. In other words, I have this technique, then I have lines like, and then I have doubling the melody. In other words, the left hand is playing an accompaniment role, then it's playing stepwise, and then it's playing complementary role. You see, so you got 3 different things going on there. Now back to the stride. Now it's complementing. Now it's complementing. In other words, it's playing the same line, doubling it, and then harmonizing it. You see, so you can do both complementing or doubling the melody, and then you can do harmonizing the melody. So, and then you can do the, this is contrasting the melody. In other words, it's creating a rhythm underneath it, a stride rhythm. Now, a line. So you really need to know how to connect things together between chords. So it's going to go C7 to F, so I just go up the scale. I could go down the scale like that to an F, or up the scale like that. I did this. In other words, it has to fit the melody. It could be, well, there it has to be an E. It couldn't be an E flat. Now that doesn't sound good. Ear will tell you. That's better, see, because it complements the chord in the right hand. Now the next note is an A. So, and I want to end up on an F, so I'm not going to play that. It's too soon. Then I end up on the F right there, and then another line. Now the other thing is that, these are chords here, pretty full, but you might want to enhance them in the right hand like this. Putting a chord in there. That's more advanced, but see, putting the chord in there, and then I have this, and then you have this left hand bass line that's important. Now we're going to go into the bridge. Now the bridge is rather fascinating because the A section is sort of traditional in a lot of ways. In other words, a lot like a lot of other songs, many other songs that have that kind of feeling and that kind of chord progression and that kind of traditional harmony and so on. Now, but the bridge goes to the relative minor, you know, like A minor, which is relative to C major. And it goes A minor to E minor, and then A minor to E7, then back to A minor, then to the 4 of the A minor, and then the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 1. So it's very common, but the way they use it is, now I had to create something interesting in the left hand, so I did this sort of, that's not easy to play because of the tenths, but to the E minor. Then I did this bass line. Now I did this. Now, they didn't play this, but I played A minor to E7, to A minor, to A minor to E7, and then I doubled this line that way, and now I'm going, now I'm just keeping that rhythm, that beat, which works with this tune beautifully, like A minor, that's a D7, and then D minor, and I did, this is just harmonizing a basic chord, which we can talk about another time. I want to continue. But then the F chord, then the G7, then this. Now I wanted to harmonize this line. That. So I harmonized it in 6 with the left hand. And that's just something that is not easy to play, but I want to learn how to play it. So I didn't play it exactly right because I need to practice it more, but see, that's the problem, is getting down to there. That's a tricky little ending to the bridge. Continuing, the last 16 bars of the song are a repeat of the first 16, so you don't want to play them exactly alike. Otherwise, it's boring. It just sounds like a carbon copy of what came before. So what I did was, one thing I did was I took that last section up an octave like this. Instead of down here, I was up here. That much, even that changes the sound of it and makes it go somewhere, you know. Now, then I had this. Then I had this. Instead of having this, I had this. Just a little different, right? And I can put a thing in like that, or kind of a roll, and then I can, I'm breaking up this. It's a little difficult to play, but in other words, it changes the sound of where you're coming from. Now, you could add a little thing like that, inflection or an embellishment, like a, changes it slightly, you know. More build up, more build. And then I played a tag. I just repeated the last section one time. So in terms of the ending, now we have this. I could repeat just the last 2 bars, and I like to repeat the last 4 bars in this particular song because that's a complete idea or phrase. Descending down in the bass line to the F. Now, the rallentando, or slowing it down. Right out, there's your ending. Wrapping up and signing off from the Jazz Ranch, I just want to say thanks so much for watching and wishing you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. Hope you have a great New Year. And until next time, please write to me. I love to hear from you. I'll always respond to your comments. So please write to me. And until next time, I will say in the words of my great friend Hermie Dressel, God rest his merry soul, swing loose. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.